Hello and welcome to another episode of The Photo Guru. I'm your host, John Armitage. This is the second video in a series on basic photography. I've chosen film speed as the first of your camera's mechanisms to discuss because it is the one mechanism you should set first and not change unless you run into a low light situation that calls for a higher film speed setting. Other terms for film speed are ASA or ISO. ASA stands for American Standards Association and ISO stands for International Standards Organization. Film speed is what tells your camera how fast or slow your medium is, whether that is film or digital. In the old days of film, we would buy film of a certain ASA or ISO rating, and once we set our cameras to this, we would leave it alone. The camera would then know the film speed we are using and would be able to get the proper exposure. Film speeds vary from 50, 100, 200, 400, and in today's digital cameras can go as high as 6,400 or even 32,000. Please take note that these different film speeds basically double, 50 to 100, 100 to 200, 200 to 400, and so on. But I recommend that you set your film speed in your camera to its lowest setting, like 100 speed. And the reason I recommend the lowest setting is because this will give you the best quality to your image. The higher the film speed, the more grain your image will have. This is not only true in traditional film, but in digital cameras as well. Some photographers like that grain quality. It has a kind of artistic look to it. Today's digital photo editing software allows you to add grain to your images without affecting the quality of the original image. I would rather have a crisp, clean image that I can add grain to than a grainy image that I have to try to make look crisp and clean. So why does it matter what film speed you use? Well, that all depends on the situation you're shooting in. When using slower speeds, the more light is needed for your camera to get a good exposure. You will need to adjust the other mechanisms like shutter speed or aperture to get the correct exposure. With digital cameras, you can change your film speed from one image to the next because you're not tied to the film in your camera. The only time I change my film speed is if I absolutely have to. For instance, if you're shooting your child at a gymnastic meet, let's say, you are not allowed to use flash to supplement your light at any time. It can be dangerous for the gymnasts. They can be distracted by a flash of light and they will have trouble finishing their routines. Usually in a gymnastic center or at a gymnastic meet, the light quality is not very good. To your eye, it sure looks great, but your eye has an amazing ability to adjust to different lighting situations almost instantaneously. The mechanisms on your camera aren't that smart. They have to be told what to do. So in this particular situation, my aperture is opened all the way, and my shutter is set to a high enough speed as to stop the motion of the action. If you try to use a slower shutter speed, your subject would be blurry, especially at anything below 1/125th of a second. So in this case, the only option I have is to increase my film speed a stop or maybe even several stops. Now keep in mind that a stop is just a measurement of light. And every time you change your film speed to the next higher increment, you are opening up a stop or doubling the sensitivity of your camera, thus allowing you to keep your shutter at a faster speed setting. Again, with imaging editing software, you have the ability to change brightness of your image in post-production without a significant loss of quality. Experiment with your camera often and know its capabilities before you have a low light situation. This way you will know already how your image quality will turn out. You can practice constantly because you don't have the expensive film and processing to worry about. Pixels are free. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please push the like and subscribe buttons below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.